we had moved to Fiddle Creek, or I'll call it Bear Creek. It's a branch of Fiddle Creek. We moved there in March of 1923, and I was in the 8th grade, and Dad kept me out of school. I had to go down every day with a wagon and haul our stuff. We had a whole freight car full of stuff he brought up here. Furniture and beds and stoves and Lord knows what else, tools. And I missed a lot of school. But I did go the last 2 weeks of the 8th grade, and that's where I got acquainted with the local boys, and especially I can remember Plaep. And
Is he a good friend?
him and I became very good friends. He just died here about 3 years ago in March. He worked in he graduated from 8th grade, and then he went to work in the woods. It's around Silcoos Lake. They had the logging camp down there.
Now, did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I went to Gardner one year. Ted Witherlake, that was Cliff's brother.
Yeah.
And I batched 6 months till Christmas, and then his folks moved to town, so I had to move out.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 14, I think.
You were living by yourself? I mean, with your friends?
Ted and I, we rented a...
You really had a lot of responsibility pushed on you really early in life. Did you enjoy that living by yourself? I mean, with your friend?
Oh, yeah. We had it all.
Yeah.
He did the cooking. I washed dishes and swept the...
Did you get along pretty well?
Pretty well. We got in one row. I remember one time we had a good wrestling match and figured out who was the boss, and he was.
What started it?
Oh,
Was it division of work? Or?
I don't know. We what was over. We just had to establish a pecking order, I guess. We didn't get real mean and fight. We did get wrestling pretty good. Well, that's
really young to be on your own and taking care of yourself and everything.
And
where'd you wash your clothes?
Gosh, I don't know. I think we took them home.
I hope you washed your clothes during that.
I remember I was a week late starting high school, and Ted had already started. He had rented the place. His folks had rented it for him. In fact, they were related by marriage, somebody had in-laws or something. And Ted had told all the girls in school, oh, we got a new boy coming. He's going to be here next week. They were all excited. Here I come. Mother had an old pair of knee pants like was here, and I was almost outgrown them, and the only good clothes I had.
Yeah.
They were pretty disappointed to see this big long-legged kid with short pants, his knees sticking out, and black socks up
your
to here.
Your knickers had almost become shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And but Dad went to town at the Coos Bay on the trains were running then. And he bought me a bunch of clothes, corduroy.
Did you have long pants then? Were you wearing
long pants?
I mean, when you finally got so you could get some pants to cover your knees.
Right. At home at work, we always wore bib overalls up to that time. We used them to go to school with and everything.
Yeah.
I would work in the barn in the mornings till about 7:30, and then I had to rush and eat a bite, and we'd jump into a clean pair of overalls and go to school. And then when we come home from school, we had to get in our old ones, go help milk cows and do the chores every day.
You had a good 14-hour day every day, didn't you?
Just about, yes. And that time in between, we would go, summer, we'd run up to the neighbors. They had a good swimming hole up there.
Yeah.
And walk home in the dark, maybe 10 o'clock before we get in bed, and then have to get up at 5, I tell you.
Yeah.
And kid me now.
Yeah.
And the other 3 years I went to Reedsport.
Now, did your folks move over to Reedsport, or were you rooming and boarding there with someone else?
The folks moved up to Bear Creek here, and they stayed on the ranch there till 58.
Yeah.
From 23 till 58, they had that ranch.
Oh.
I went to Reedsport after my first year at high school. I rode a bicycle on the old road around the back of the lakes. There was no highway here then yet.
And you're still living at home?
I was living
How far was that you had to travel each day on your bicycle?
I didn't ride that bicycle every day. I took the bike and went down to Reedsport and I looked around. And we were acquainted with Reedsport because we lived at Schofield there. That was so nice.
Right.
There were 5 sawmills in Reedsport at that time. That's in 1924. And there was a lady there that had a small variety store, grocery store, and a rooming house. Mrs. Sorns, Mr. and Mrs. Sorns, married a log. And he had a brother, Gardner, Hans. I forget his brother's name. He had 2 boys. I worked in the woods with them later. But I got a job with her. I could work in the store, stay with them, to work in the store in the evenings and weekends, or in the rooming house. They had the 2-story rooming house that they rented out rooms to the bachelors that worked in the mills there, and downstairs they fed them.
Were you 15 now, or 16?
I started seeing 14. I was out at grade school, and that was a year later at 15.
Okay, so you boarded with the Sonsons?
Yes, I would board there, and they fed us, and we peeled potatoes and worked in the kitchen for the rooming house and washed dishes, and or I'd take my turn in the store while somebody in the store had to come in and eat, and they fed a lot of the workers there too.
That was good training for you, wasn't it?
And then the next...
Did you enjoy it, or did you dislike that kind of work?
That gal was Mrs. Sorn. She was quite a slave driver.
Yeah.
Norwegian, and she
got her money's worth out of it, didn't she?
And when I would go home in the summer, work at her home. And when she knew I was going, she would go to Portland and pick up a couple of kids from the orphanage there and bring them down and work at their tail off.
Too.
And then when I come back in September, she would take them back and tell them it isn't working out. And I didn't like that very much. I felt sorry for them kids. I only give them a change.
Now, during this time, did you have an idea of what kind of work you liked best, or what you did best? You had the store and all this physical labor and your farm work. What kind of work did you prefer best? Or were you just working so hard it was just getting through the day that what you were interested in?
No, we always had...
What kind of work did you prefer in there?
Outside interests, but cars were coming in at that time. I was more pretty mechanically minded.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, like every boy now, you want a car, but when we moved to Bear Creek, there was one car over in that bit of creek country.
Yeah.
A little Chevrolet Tour. Belonged to one of the Scott boys. And I've seen about 15 kids pile into that thing and run up to the swimming hole, and he'd haul us back home.
Yeah.
And
what kind of car was it? Do you remember?
A Chevrolet.
Chevrolet.
Touring.
Yeah.
Car had a little cloth top on it.
Yeah.
Then I went 3 years in Reedsport, and 2 of those years I worked in that store and in the rooming house. And my sister was a year behind me. That was Alice. She also came down there in Mrs. Sorn's. She worked in the kitchen, did dishes. And on weekends we would go up and change beds and change sheets and make beds in the rooming house and sweep up and